Yeah.
Oh no!
Matt, what the hell was that?
Wasn't me, coach. Welcome to the Straight Red Card. Get off our lawn.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card. And with us today, down below, is our guest. I guess he's going to be down below for everybody, right, Brett? That's how this shit works. And it is Jake Landau, the son of Martin Landau. No, I'm just kidding. You probably aren't related to him at all, right?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Twice removed.
Maybe.
The same last name, same tribe.
Nobody can be sure.
Exactly. And Jake, of course, is from It's Called Mother Soccer, dumb motherfucker. All right. So it's called soccer. Just keep it nice and simple and clean when you go on the YouTubes to find Jake right down there. Hey, Jake, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I do want to say that the channel's full Christian name is It's Motherfucking Called Motherfucking Soccer.
Yes.
So that's on the birth certificate. You guys can check that out.
They just made you cross out the other one. All right.
Yeah.
So Derek, I've got to ask, in the intro with your blow up sex doll,
yes,
are those black things on the side? Is that where you blow it up at, or is that where you put your cigarette set out?
No, you don't do that on a blow up doll, Brett, because then it'll go out. So no, I think it's where you blow the air in. And by the way, they just don't sell those anymore. I mean, if they do, it's a gag shop. That's all I got to say, because I haven't found it yet. So I'm just going to buy a good one. How's that? That way, I'm a single man.
Come with
Set up a PO box and have people mail you their sex dolls.
What I was trying to explain
Slightly
to Brett, Jake, is that they don't really sell blow up sex dolls anymore. I mean, if they do, but who wants one? Who wants one of those? I don't want one. You know? I mean, you got to go to a gag store to buy them. So I haven't found one that I thought was worth getting. Personally.
So what's the next level then? Just robots?
Yeah, they're
AI,
made out of silicone and all kinds of nice stuff now.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a single guy.
Forced
all the kids around the house. There's nothing to be ashamed of me having a sex doll.
So you gotta be careful.
What?
They made a Rick and Morty episode about this. You gotta be careful.
Careful about what?
Sex dolls, AI sex dolls.
I don't have an AI one. Just a sex doll.
Not yet.
I don't need this bitch talking back to me. Jesus Christ.
Again, the more super chats you get, the more AI this sex
Derek,
doll will have.
the dishes are dirty again.
I already heard that for years.
Vacuum the floor when you're at.
It's like, all right, I work already. Oh, so
please put the toilet seat down.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. Jake, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a Yingling, although I'm embarrassed that it's the only beer that I have in my house. It's obviously very barren behind me. I was telling the guys, this is my third move in about 4 weeks. So I just got whatever I could from the
problem
fridge.
Was he ran out of pizza and beer, having all of his friends move his stuff from England. So
yeah.
And you've been moving quite a bit.
Everybody's swimming with one piece of furniture in their hand.
Yeah, I was in London. I moved to a temporary apartment in the suburb of Philadelphia. I moved to a different townhouse in a different suburb of Philadelphia. Now I'm here.
Why
building
Philly?
Furniture.
Why Philly, by the way?
That's where my full-time job is. Not
okay.
It's called soccer, and all of our family, me and my wife, our family is in mix of New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Well, so you're mildly close to all the people. You don't
mildly
want too close to them, but
no,
enough.
and we're about to have our first child in February, so we want our family an arm's length away. This is a good place to be.
Congrats on the first little,
I thank you.
Rugrat, or whatever demeaning name you want to come up with. I'm just saying they're going to be fun. For not the first part's not fun. It's just not fun. I'm sorry. I mean, it is. You're like, oh, look at this little fucking thing that's related to me somehow. But then it doesn't get cool until like 6, 5, 6, 8, and you get to play with Legos again, and you get to go, play with remote control cars, and you get to build the big orange track where you push the cars on, Hot Wheels. You get to be a kid again. So that's the fun part, Jake. That's the part you get to look forward to. Yeah.
You start yelling at your kid saying, hey, you're making that wrong. Build it right or don't build it at all. Get out of here.
If
I'll do it.
anybody knows me or has watched my shows, they know that I'm very easily excitable and not monotone at all, not chill at all. So I'm sure I'll be that parent that yells at my child.
What a cool ball.
Well, you might lose it. We all do. I mean,
I am putting all of my hopes and dreams on him as a soccer player. So, if he doesn't become a professional, I'll be
virtual
quite
soccer
upset.
player, like FIFA 2034.
He's already slated for the USMNT of 2040 something. I don't know.
Now, listen, Jake, I know you're kidding about that, but I just want to let you know, don't do that, because I did that, and it's very disappointing.
And now you're buying sex dolls on the internet.
Yep. Cheers. Derek, you got to go through the intros. The turd's already called me out.
All right,
he's already been forgotten. I know this isn't the turd, but we got a couple of them in here.
It's Wuxia, and he speaks like this. Welcome to the Straight Red Card, the only show that kicks Greg's dog and gets away with it. I don't know who that sounded. That sounded like what's his face, the actor, the guy. He talks all whiny like this. What's his name? Anyhow, forget it. The turd in the background,
stereotypical
like Italian guy. Yeah. All right. The turd in the background says, "Welcome to the Straight Red Card, starring Jake Landau. I overheard Jake calling me a turd in the last press conference. I'm taking your press badge and giving it to Fred Baker." Oh God, there's more? Why do we have so many? All right.
Everybody's jumping on board, I guess.
God, Kong Snake sounds like you would talk like this.
Welcome to the Straight Red Card, a soccer show where we start discussing sex dolls.
Yes, we do sometimes.
There's a question mark there, Derek.
Sex dolls?
Sex dolls?
Sex dolls? Yeah, I don't know. Yes, we did. We did, because it's an ongoing joke. God, Kong Snake. Tom, Joe Pesci. Yeah, thank you.
Is that who you're thinking of?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
What am I, like a fucking clown to you? What do I make you laugh? What the fuck am I? Am I a fucking clown to you? All right. So why did you decide to move from London, by the way? Was London or just England?
London.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived about 20 minutes away from the Emirates where Arsenal plays. It was an amazing place to live. I could walk to work in the center of the city. I would have never left if we weren't about to have a child. I would have stayed there forever.
Who wants to have a kid in that cesspool?
You didn't want him to be German American? I mean, English American? He could have been a dual
options, yeah.
So the thing is, if the parents aren't natural citizens or don't have their citizenship, then they have a 5-year rule for the child that's born there. They don't have naturalization like the US. So that wasn't even a given. But yes, if our family could have committed to coming over and helping us at the start and being there for a few months, we would have considered it more heavily, but just wasn't meant to be. Yeah, we're happy to be back again. Nice to have family around.
Well, we're happy to have you back because now you're in our time zone.
It was tough to get on these live streams, I'll tell you, at 1:15 in the morning.
Yeah, that's
make the chat every now and then, but it's different being in the chat and then being in the actual show itself.
When I was rolling back and forth and couldn't go to sleep, I was like, straight red card.
Monday and Thursday.
I could barely walk at 1:15, so I'm surprised anybody could do a show. Speaking of not walking very well, I'm going to be doing an Old Smoky like usual tonight. I'm going to do whatever this McGillicuddy crap is. Butterscotch. I am actually, this is really weird. I got this on sale. Cafe Lolita. It's coffee liqueur named after like young children.
Yes.
Not a great, that book name. I don't know if I'd be naming my liqueur after that.
Well, it caught my eye. And,
whoa.
So I got it because I wanted some coffee liqueur, which I've mixed, by the way, with some
orange
milk.
and vodka. Oh, sorry.
No milk.
Okay.
All right. So that's not even it yet. And I still have my usual ginger ale and vodka. All right. And that's it. That's all I got tonight.
Are you aiming to have like the worst hangover possible?
It didn't.
Why not just grab a glass of wine while you're at it?
It wasn't so bad last time. All right. So do you miss England, by the way, before I move on?
Of course I do. Genuinely, I would have stayed there until the end of time, never come back. But
nobody threatened to beat you up for saying soccer?
To be honest, it was always a pleasant conversation. And I feel like once they got over the hurdle of like, oh shit, this person actually knows what he's talking about and has a genuine interest in the same sport, then I don't really care what you call it. But I would like two people in England and European and British people, I would say football. And when I was talking to Americans, I would say soccer.
Right.
So
it's not
Sounds
really
confusing.
called soccer. It's like whatever you call it in your backyard is what it's called, right?
it's true.
Yep. Calcio.
You could call it potato. I don't care.
Yeah. They call it some weird shit in Korea. I don't even know what it even is. So, by the way, sorry if that we made up an excuse for you not being on the show last time. I think you had your wife. I said his wife made him go out and buy a cock warmer. Is that what I said? Or was it was it crotchless panties? It was one or the two, and I can't remember.
See,
Well, you wouldn't have been lying or making it up, but I
cleaned it up for the Twitters, of course, and I said that you were fielding phone calls from USSF about the coaching position that's going to be available in November.
I don't know if I'm qualified, but maybe that makes me a perfect candidate.
You know, yes, good point. But I like how humble you and Pete are when people say, you know, maybe you should be the coach. Well, I don't actually see any goddamn reason why you shouldn't. I know that's absolutely insane, but
I was thinking about this today, and I feel like I was talking about being introverted and not really enjoying being around a lot of people. And I feel like as much as I would love to coach, I would just be dead by the end of the day. I wouldn't want to do anything.
Okay. I can fake it for at least 4 hours. So I don't know. What a pleasure it is to listen to the future U.S. men's national team coach, and Jake is pretty cool too. Oh, look at me with a cigarette in my mouth, or I hope that's a doobie. All right. So I also was going to ask you, as far as England goes, who were you a big fan of while you were over there? And why when you were in England, did you decide, you know, I'm going to do this show about American soccer while I'm living in England? That seemed like a
Let's dive into the origin story.
Yeah, let's do it.
So when I was growing up and just starting to fall in love with soccer, Tim Howard was a huge piece of that. And so Everton was the team that I watched week in and week out when I was really getting into it. And that was probably, you know, like early to mid-teens for me. And then starting to go to college, like having my own schedule, being able to wake up at 7:30 in the morning and turn on, I forget if it was Fox Sports or Fox Soccer, or maybe even ESPN.
Back in the day?
Had
could have been ESPN too.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my weekend routine, was they would show like 1 or 2 games, and usually it would be Tim Howard's Everton. And then Landon Donovan went there for a few loan spells. So It was always Everton for me. And then when I moved to London, Everton is in Liverpool. For those of you who don't know, it's quite a far ways away. Not even, I guess in American terms, it's kind of close, actually. It's about a 2-hour train ride to Liverpool. But there's so many teams that you can support more locally in London.
Yeah.
I lived very close to the Emirates, so I had what they call memberships. So you can pay like £30 and then you can buy single game tickets. So I had memberships to Arsenal and Chelsea. And so I go to those games as much as possible. I think at the end of the day, I kind of just decided that nothing really like caught my attention and my heart like Everton did when they had Tim Howard, even Chelsea with Pulisic. Like I was in London when Chelsea won the Champions League. And then last season was just a very weird time, I feel like, for Christian Pulisic. And there was a lot of negativity directed towards him, but also a lot of negativity from Americans directed towards Chelsea. So it's a very like, that could have been it. That could have been my long-term team. But I think now I would say I root the most for Leeds and Everton when I watch on TV, but definitely like Arsenal, Chelsea have a special place in my heart. I would also say Fulham as well. I got to go to a lot of matches when they were in the Championship. Whenever people came to visit, we would take them to the Craven Cottage because they were really easy tickets to get, very cheap, but still great games and great experiences.
And the fans are not as obnoxious as others.
That's true. They are a little bit more timid, I would say, or quiet.
Yeah.
But that's a good experience for someone that maybe isn't super into it and just wants to go see a game.
And the weird thing, it's not even posh quiet. It's kind of like, oh, we're middle class going for posh, you know?
Yes.
We're not quite Arsenal fans, but we're going to fake it until we make it. Yeah, that kind of thing. So,
yeah.
So the show, I mean, how do you decide to do the show?
Yeah. Okay, so I was, by the way, I don't know what direction this show is going to go in, but it's
World
knows. Mental Health Awareness Day. And when I moved to London, it was the middle of lockdown. We had a quarantine for 2 weeks. And then right after we got out of quarantine, there was a second and third lockdown right after that. So it was like September of 2020, and it went all the way through Christmas. And I was starting a kind of not new job, but a job where I had never met my team before. I was going through a pretty rough phase in terms of like feeling any connectedness to the world. And I just had nothing to do. Like I remember the video you put out talking about those things. Yeah, sometimes it just like wells up, especially because soccer is such a powerful thing for me. Like that's what I look forward to. And if something is impacting that, this is bad. But like if something's impacting that, then it probably messes with my own like internal environment. So I was really just looking for a way to spend my time and like put my efforts into something. Basically just start a new hobby. Soccer is something I was obviously very interested in and spent a lot of time on already. Just thinking about the ways that I could do that. I had seen Pete at 11 Yanks. I'd seen Sam was like at 2,500 subscribers at the time. So he was growing rapidly, but he wasn't huge at that time. Yeah. And I was kind of like, I want to do something like that. I probably have I need to find like the way that I can differentiate myself. At the time, it was my coaching licenses. I feel like over time, I've kind of like gone back into just talk show because that's easy to do. Like talking head and reacting is very easy to do. But now once I'm moved in to my new house, I'm hoping to build like more of a home studio where I can feel comfortable working on the channel. I want to do a lot more of like those coaching videos, the scouting videos, the breakdown videos, all of that stuff I feel like is the bread and butter of what a lot of people like latched onto for the channel. Yeah. So right now it looks like a lot of what's out there, but hopefully my expertise is still coming through and it's still unique to be able to listen to me talk about the US soccer environment. Yeah. Well, and I think that's why your show's been a success. And I think, it's not on like us. We're not on Pete's level. We're certainly not on Sam or Tack's level, but that's not why we're doing this anyhow. It'd be nice for us to get there eventually. I feel like you have the most passionate fan base.
We do.
I think you're probably right. And it's hard to say why, but they are great and we do love them. See how much I'm sucking up to them now? You guys are amazing.
Berlin says there's only one direction this TSRC will end.
Is there? Jake's
always in chaos and also in Dergo. Is it over yet?
That's at the end.
Can we end this by now? Come on.
So I'm guessing
no longer fun. I want to go to bed now.
Exactly. I'm guessing Brett told you what this show was going to be about generally, but there really is no, rhyme or reason for the show. So let's start off by taking some questions. Right?
Plus, we have about 20 minutes until we need to start hitting our topic.
Why are we doing anything? What's the point of anything? So I'm happy to be here.
That is a great existential question. I'm saying, Jake, we could talk about it. Yeah,
why would you do such a thing?
Brett wouldn't like it, so I guess I'm doing.
It's when he starts going on these rants, I just sort of zone off. Like when he starts talking about racing or.
Well, racing I get, but philosophy's fucking. It's something you got to think about. Well, I guess not at this late age. Fuck it, Brett. Yeah,
I clearly don't smoke enough for that.
Racing in what way? Is it like if you go so fast, can you go back in time? Or
ideally, yes.
No, that's not even philosophical. I love F1. I'm a huge F1 fan.
Me too.
So, yes. See, Brett, you suck, not me.
All right, what, Derek? What?
Something's happening.
Derek, come back. You've muted yourself.
All right.
We're going through a tunnel. We can't hear you, Derek.
Well, it's good to find another F1 fan. I remember asking Filippo on the show, hey, so you're from Brazil. A hater. He does not like F1 at all. He's like, I don't give a fuck about F1.
I'd have Filippo on the channel more often.
I'm like, but Senna. What about Senna? I don't care about Senna.
I'm a recently new fan. I do have to say that I got into it because of the Netflix show, but I've been religiously following every race and every driver for the last 3 years. So I am newer.
Right.
Senna means something to me, but it's not what it means to you. I am now in the
You'll
church
get
of
there.
Verstappen. Yeah.
You'll get there. Verstappen is a great driver. But anyhow, we won't pain Brett any longer with this discussion.
Thank you. Let's talk about something important like your current Indy traffic report, Derek. Go.
I'm not driving right now, so I don't
Thank
know.
God.
Hey, I don't have anything to bitch about this week about driving. Nothing's been bad.
Yeah, but you had something else happening in your house.
So many fall breaks that the people are finally off the road. Hallelujah.
Your wife's sick.
So yesterday, Saturday, we're friends. We're hanging out, drinking, go home, go to sleep. Wake up Sunday to my wife, throwing up like crazy, like, and it's nonstop all fucking day. And it really bummed me out. Really kind of ruined how I was experiencing my Sunday. But being the nice husband that I am, I ended up having to take her to an emergent care at 6:00 at night.
Yeah, that must suck for you.
I know, seriously. She never thinks about me. So we go to this emergent care, and I know anytime we go there, from the kids or her or myself, a little less by myself because I don't really get sick. But I know that I'm just going to be spending 3 hours in there. It's almost a guarantee. So she's going to get some prescriptions for some nausea medicine, and the only 24-hour pharmacy is over on the opposite side of Carmel, which I know, Jake, to you, this doesn't make any sense. It's the next city over, but the problem is this entire city has a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone the entire way through it. Doesn't fucking matter where you're going through. It's always 35 miles an hour. So I go to that pharmacy. When I get there, there's like 15 people in line. I'm like, fuck, this sucks. Wait through the 15 people. The guy's like, come back in 30 minutes. We'll get it done. But then I had to drive back, get my wife from the emergent care, drive her home, and then drive back to the pharmacy to get it. Hit 4 different Krogers to try to get her all the, hydration shit she needs.
4?
Well, they're all closed. They were all closed. I hit the Kroger in Carmel.
There's a run on Gatorades.
I hit the one in Carmel. I hit the 2 or 3 by my house, and then I ended up having to drive over to Westfield just to go to a fucking Meijer. I didn't get home until like 12:20. So I'm running off of a little hour of sleep. I might hit drunk Brett tonight. I don't know.
This is last night?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't had much to eat today.
I'm sorry for all that.
I don't know if I told you guys last time, but my cousins live in Noblesville, and so I've been there a few times.
Hey.
That's where he lives.
Noblesville.
Hey. I live in Fishers, just south of Noblesville. So, I think I'm going to stay there. I don't want to get any closer to my parents. They live in Noblesville too.
Well, Brett, I love them. We don't talk to them anymore, so I'll probably never meet you in person.
You need to make the trip out to Noblesville and then not see them. Just hang out with us.
Oh, true. Yeah. Well, hopefully they're not watching this. There's a very slim chance.
So it was funny because the doctor did ask us, is there any chance of a pregnancy? And she goes, well, my husband hasn't been snipped or anything so it's possible. And I'm like, I hope not.
And then you were thinking, God, we haven't had sex for months. How could this possibly be? All right. Next question. Let's hope this is something Jake can answer.
Sure, we can do this.
I mean, it's about my personal sex doll, so it's not something Jake's going to be involved with. So
she's got some fun things pulled up here.
All right.
Who would be your starting U.S. men's national team front 3 in the opening game of the World Cup versus Wales? Christian Pulisic is a lock. Who are your other 2, Jake?
I know that pre-show Derek said this was an easy one, and we'll all agree. I don't know if you guys will agree with me, but I'm putting Jordan Pefok at striker and Tim Weah at right wing.
Okay,
Jordan Pefok at 50.1%, Josh Sargent at 49.9%.
You're right. It is going to be different because here's mine before Brett does his. I got Pulisic on the left. I got Aronson on the right, or Reyna if he's healthy. And in the middle, I got Sargent. So there you go. I mean, we don't know if Gio's going to be healthy, but
I am assuming Gio Reyna is playing somewhere else. That's true.
Yeah.
I don't like him on the right.
I think we all kind of agree with that. We all kind of want him to be more centrally located. I feel like if it's Berhalter's 11, he's going to be out wide right. I know we kind of talked about not being centrally located, but come on.
Well, if this is Berhalter, I mean, it's Jesus Ferreira starting or Pepe.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be Jesus from the get-go. I mean, if this is Berhalter's picks, it's absolutely going to be Jesus. 100%.
I mean, listen, Pepe's on a run right now. I mean, it's in Groningen, but it's still a run, and he had a deuce, although one of them was a penalty kick.
What happens if FC Dallas goes out in the playoffs early?
They have that 2-week camp leading into the World Cup where Jesus has all the time in the world to impress him. So,
if he goes out early, he can go buy a sex doll.
I heard Slanina's going to be there. Should be an interesting camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the all MLS camp, guys. So we'll see who he brings, right?
I mean, thank goodness Chicago went out early. Slanina actually is on his way over to Chelsea right now to do a 2-week training stint with them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, by the way, I was at a Goodwill today. Don't ask me why. Buying clothes for the sex doll. And I did see a Chicago Fire shirt. I should have bought it. It was for $6.99, Brett. I should have bought it for you because it was small, child size. And not for you, for your kids. You could start indoctrinating them young.
We don't know what Brett
super
looks
snug.
Down.
Like mid chest above my navel and everything. It's just like, look at me go, guys.
No, that thing would not have fit you at all, Brett. It would have been. You couldn't have gotten it over your head. Your giant skull. All right.
Then it wouldn't have fit my kids either, man. They got my head.
No, not yet. They don't.
Yeah, Tom S27. I see you. We're in the middle of a chat. I was going to pull up the question. Look at this. Hey, can you read my question to Jake? Hey, read that question.
Jesus, Tom.
It was a good question to Jake.
Most passionate fans.
Thanks, Tom. I'm pulling free, man. All right. So the next topic of conversation.
This goes to Jake.
This is to you, Jake.
Okay. Let's see. So I have watched Pulisic live. Very, very quick. I think that he's a player that you get what you expect. You know he's gonna have quick turns, good passing. But everything at a Premier League level, when you watch it in person, just seems like a beat faster than how you feel it looks like on TV. It's amazing to watch, whether it's Pulisic or someone else. The games that I've watched at Stamford Bridge, I don't want to make a ton of waves, but I feel like Chelsea fans aren't the most accepting towards American soccer players or American soccer fans. So I was too fast early on.
What?
Everyone that I've talked to in my friend group at work, random people on the street, everyone's happy to know that there are Americans that love the sport. Mm-hmm. As soon as I enter Stamford Bridge, that's like a 50-50 crapshoot. Sometimes I don't even talk because people around me will be like,
just tell me
he's American.
Just tell me you're Canadian.
Fucking yank.
Throw in an
exactly. So that's why it was a weird time for me to consider liking Chelsea and getting really into it, because I didn't necessarily feel like Chelsea fans liked Christian Pulisic, and I didn't feel like American fans liked Chelsea fans. And so at that point I was like, I don't.
Each side of that argument claims the other side is toxic. Just so you know.
Well, maybe both are true, maybe both are not. Who knows? But to answer this question, I would say in general, most fans don't think Pulisic should still be at Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and how can you possibly like the team if you can't stand 50% of the fans? I mean, that's not a hint for you. I don't know what is. And you know what? I'm glad you didn't pick one of the big clubs. I am just sick of all these people who became Man United lovers and Liverpool lovers in the last 15 years and Chelsea lovers. And it's like, now Man City's hot. What the fuck? Man City, you like a team that just goes buys everybody else's best players? Oh, come on. Like, what's the challenge in that? That's like being Bayern Munich in Germany. I mean, it's hard for me to like Bayern Munich. It's hard for me to like big teams because, I don't know, they just eat the babies of others.
I grew up hating the Yankees and the Patriots, so no reason to like any of those big teams now.
Yeah, I mean, I was a Yankees fan when I was a kid, but now I don't watch baseball at all anymore.
Who cares about that?
Yeah,
trash
baseball.
sport.
I also don't like following big teams. That's why I'm a Juve fan. So
Well, yeah, exactly.
We're good.
All right.
Right?
Next.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Next question.
Oh, so here's the coach's quote on Gio Reyna. He's picked up. He's increased his load in training. He missed the match against Bayern, but we're hoping he's going to be an option tomorrow.
I'm guessing the exact translation of that is not load. I don't like that word. So I hope that's not.
He increased his load all over the field there. Come on.
Right after the exercise bike warm-ups, they have the sex dolls in room 2.
Gio completed twice. Whoa.
Oh,
Eric, you'd actually be buying into like the state-of-the-art training regime.
Yeah. That's yeah, you can actually pitch this to the European clubs and say, hey, this is how your players are going to come back from injury. Follow the Derek Ritchie sex doll.
19 years old, injured 19-year-olds and divorced family men.
Oh, Jesus.
I noticed that Jake didn't call you 19 years old.
No, I wish. Just in here.
Right.
Exactly. Just in here. He missed the match against Bayern, but he will be an option tomorrow versus Sevilla. What do you think, Jake? What's the likelihood of him getting like 10 minutes?
He's going to get like 5 minutes or not see the field and be a bench option. I think Gio Reyna is like one of those players where if he's on the bench, he's scary for the other team, no matter if he gets on the field or not. So I think that's probably more true for the national teams, but still relatively true for Dortmund. I think Sevilla still have to worry about it. Yeah.
Came in and had that run where he split the seam of like 7 Mexican defenders.
But I don't know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those like physiotherapy sessions or when they do scans on him, because he has had a horrible run of just
bad luck,
leg injury after leg injury. Yeah.
I heard they kind of sound like this. Scans. All right, sorry, Eddie Gio, my bad. That was probably inappropriate. All right, I'm sure you don't cry during the scans.
Here we go.
I'm only laughing because you're laughing.
I know.
It's not fun.
All right. Woo. Okay, next happy endings in the massage room. No, that was Gio crying because he was still injured. Sorry.
Unless.
I hope that's not the end result. Yes. That was beautiful, man.
I don't know what kind of massages you're getting, my friend, but mine don't end with whimpering cries.
Yeah, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. My bad.
Depends how tight you tighten the belt around your neck. I'm just saying.
Okay. We better take a question soon.
All right. So I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a whole question, a whole debate as far as who should be our next coach, right?
There's no way we get through the show.
What the fuck? Oh, yes, bro. There's a debate about that.
Yes, there's a big debate. It's been all time. But good news is there are officially 2 coaches that have been shit canned a month before the World Cup. So clearly.
Yes. Sorry.
Clearly, we're talking about Caleb Porter.
Okay, so what?
The next U.S. national team coach right here.
No, he's not.
Sure, he doesn't have a job. He's perfect for it.
No, he's not.
Yes.
Right, let me ask Jake. Is this guy a contender to you? Jacob
No.
Caleb Porter for the next.
No. Why would he be?
He's an MLS coach. He says yes a lot.
Well, I mean, okay, Brett, you got a point.
Be a contender.
He would be one of those guys that would suck up to what USSF want. So maybe he would be a contender, but have they learned nothing from hiring Greg yet? I don't know.
I'm worried that Greg will scare them off from going to some.
Caleb has something that Berhalter never had.
a winning pedigree.
Berhalter's never won the World MLS Cup, right? Yeah.
No, he didn't coach the Chicago Fire. He could never win the World Cup.
Nice.
Well, that's taking it back.
That is a blast from the past right there.
But no, he didn't win any
nice.
MLS Cups.
So
no Porter for you, is what you're saying, Jay.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have Peter Vermees over
Caleb
Caleb Porter.
I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't even make our list, Brett.
Come on, it just timing worked out perfectly. It's gonna
got fired.
It's gonna be in question.
I'll take the other fired coach.
I think he's better than Greg Berhalter, but that
he's got
higher standards for our next hire.
I'd agree.
And the one that I'm thinking everybody's probably thinking about.
Pellegrino Matarazzo. Sounds so Italian, but he's so American. And he's gone. And I think it was a little premature, in my opinion. Jake, I think a little premature firation there.
That'll happen. Let's go back to the Dortmund sex dolls. No.
I want to make a joke about the load management, but I can't think of one. I feel like Matarazzo will probably be a name that's like the underground pick, people that pay attention and know that he's there. But I think I'd like to see him just coach one more European team before taking a chance at the national team. There's so few Americans that are trying to do this in Europe at this point, where like him and Jesse Marsch and someone else that's going to make the jump at some point. Like I want to see them actually really dig their heels in it and try to go as far as they can in Europe. Yeah.
It's too bad that he got fired this early. I mean, he's been around for a few years now. So, and kept Stuttgart, who are one of the, I mean, they are very tight with their cash. They do not go out and buy any big players or anything like that. So he's had to do it with a pretty skimpy squad. And I guess starting with 4 ties and 5 losses is just not good enough. I get it's only, 4 points out of 9 games, but I've seen worse at the beginning of the season. And the only way I could see this being okay if I'm, Matarazzo is maybe he just lost the locker room or he just lost the trust of the people, upstairs. So, Roberto Martinez or Marsch, we'll lay that at your feet, Jake.
Well, I'll take Marsch first because again, kind of same answer for Matarazzo. I'd like to see Marsch continue at Leeds, and we'll probably talk about Leeds' result in a bit, but spoiler alert, I don't think it's as bad as the Reddit fan base is making it out to be. So I'll talk about that when the time comes, but I think Jesse Marsch still has plenty to give at Leeds, and if not somewhere else in Europe. Roberto Martinez is an interesting one. Like he'd be miles better than Greg Berhalter. He'd have an international pedigree that we would all appreciate. The U.S. is such an interesting coaching position because, and I was asking someone about this the other week, is do you think the U.S. coaching position is a position where like an up and coming coach goes into that position to make their statement that they're kind of like one to watch, or do you think that's a position that should be filled with kind of managers that have proven themselves on the international stage and we can pay them a little bit more than some other national teams?
That's a good question. I think it's somewhere in between would be my answer. I think you can hire someone who's never coached internationally, but has a great pedigree with the club, as long as they understand that transition, the difference between the two and what it's going to be and mean. And it sounds from a lot of interviews with Greg is he did not see it fully. He knew he was going to make some changes. He didn't know how much he was going to have to give up of his system. Apparently not enough. But so I think you can still, but I would prefer generally. I think when Bruce got it the first time, I think he was just the best American manager available at the time. I don't think there was any doubt about it. He might still have been actually when he took it the second time, but it didn't work out for him. So I don't know. I stole your thunder.
I probably would have taken Bob over Arena the second time, but we knew that was never going to happen regardless.
I saw John Herdman in the comments, and That would actually be one of my preferred
He's a
coaches.
preferred,
But at this point, like, can you even guarantee that to a coach like John Herdman, is the U.S. national team a step up from Canada? Like, he kind of has this dark horse team really believing going into the World Cup. I feel like the talk about coaches is a little premature. We need to get to the World Cup, see who's available, see who's going to stay for another 4-year cycle, who overperformed, who underperformed, and then we can kind of look at the landscape from there.
I agree, because there's a very good chance, and this is a conclusion we came to at the last show, we could get 4 more years of Greg. There's nothing stopping that from happening if he does well.
I feel like the players would have to speak up at that point. Like, in my mind, and I hope people that have watched me and you guys, I'm not going to hate Greg Berhalter just to hate him. I just don't think he's the right coach for us. And no matter what,
I'm going to be personal against him.
Yeah, I don't hate him. Yeah,
I actually think, like, if I was the New York, like, I was a fan of the New York Red Bulls. Now I like Philly and New York. Don't ask me how that works. Like, I wouldn't mind Greg Berhalter as an incoming MLS coach. I think system-wise, he can do whatever he wants with the club team. He can build his players. He can build his team around that.
sure.
That's fine. I just don't think it works in the national team. And so however far we go in this World Cup, I feel like it's going to be because of the players and the players having agency on the field without Berhalter there to tell them exactly what to do. I feel like a part of our performances in September were players that really didn't want to piss off Greg Berhalter because it's so close to the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you're on the field at the World Cup, the agency is back to the players. They don't have to worry too much about Greg Berhalter not calling them into the roster.
Yeah, I think there's something to that, and I also see the media seem to be opening up a little bit too as we head towards the World Cup. Kind of like
that was a quick turnaround, wasn't it? The media jumping on board,
being critical of Greg suddenly.
Yeah.
The mass media.
They watched a little too many straight red card episodes.
Yep. Yeah. We know some members of USSF do.
Yeah, they do. On occasion, they do. But yeah, I think that I just think that we're very likely. It would not shock me if Greg were our manager in 2026. I think we're not. As you said, we don't know the results yet. But you're saying even if the results are good, it's just because the players overcame. We're
going to win despite Greg Berhalter, not because of him.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Despite, exactly.
I've already dropped the 10 on the U.S. winning it all, so clearly they must, in spite of him.
Well,
if the U.S. won the World Cup, would you want Greg Berhalter back for 2026?
No, I wouldn't actually.
I don't know.
If he won the World Cup, my opinion of him would still stand firm on that. But I'm also a proponent of not having more than one cycle per coach.
No matter what.
It doesn't matter. I said the same thing back with Bob. I said the same thing with Klinsmann. I'm going to say the same thing here with Berhalter, regardless.
And you liked Bob.
I did like Bob.
We did not like Klinsmann.
Did not really like Klinsmann, no.
All right. Why don't we talk about Leeds let's do this question first. Chris Gary, 199. Armis and Christ as co-managers. Oh, yeah.
Maybe that'll work.
Maybe. Wouldn't be any clashes there at all.
Chris Armis is one of the best assistant coaches there is. Horrible manager. Good assistant coach.
Well, they didn't like him much at Man U, did they?
Well, they didn't give anyone much time at Man U.
Yeah. Well, and he was an American. They were calling him Ted Lasso behind his back and all that shit. Yeah. All right. But, yeah, they are
the running gag for all English people.
They are
seriously.
Yeah, these two would be Tweedledee, Tweedledum.
Ted Lasso is not an insult. I don't know what to talk about. Having watched that show, it's actually a really good show.
It's a great show. Next question. And I was going to say, since one of them in the past related to Leeds, since I just watched it in about 2 hours before the show, because those bastards on what was it? What channel was it supposed to be on? Peacock. I went there. I got this Peacock thing.
No. It was USA. It was on USA.
I know, but on my little thing, it said I could watch it on Peacock. Peacock.
Peacock.
Peacock
is broadcasting it. No,
whenever I watch TV,
you can watch it on Peacock. It just would be 9:00 Sunday morning, or Sunday morning.
Well, it's on
Monday morning.
It's on constant replay right now.
Yeah.
But the point is that on my thing, it said it's on Peacock. So I go there, I click on the game, and it says, no, you don't have the ability to watch this game until 9 next morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is up with that? That's why I bought this cock thing, because it was supposed to give me more options, but instead it just fucked me.
That's why Jared pays for the cock.
Yes. The Peacock.
No, at that point, once it says like, hey, you don't have the access to this game, you have to know at that point it's on USA or some other, NBC channel.
And I found out later
it was up to you, Derek, as the consumer.
Come on.
I had
Go
USA
look for
Network. I was an idiot. I should have watched it on there. You're right. All right.
The worst part about that game was you watch it, and then halftime came around. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Fulham match showed up and was playing. Like, what the fuck? What happened to Leeds?
I think Leeds had like a 7-minute extra time in the first half, so they just decided to show the Fulham match for like 4 minutes.
It was weird, and then it just flipped back over, and I was like, "Oh, okay, there we are." Technical difficulties, I guess.
Speaking of which, I have to say about that game now that we're on the Leeds topic.
Let's just jump into it. Fuck it.
Yeah, let's do it. I thought that Aronson was pretty damn good in the first half. And
whoa! Footmob will disagree with you and said his score was a 5.
Yeah, fuck those guys. And then I think both Aronson and Adams look like they belong to me, Jake. They belong. I think it's pretty clear at this point.
It was probably the best Tyler Adams game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah,
and I've been watching him since he was 16 at Red Bull. It's a shame they didn't get a result, because that individual performance by Tyler Adams throughout the entire game was one of the best I've ever seen from him.
Great with the quick passes. Go ahead, Brett.
It's weird having watched the match and then looking at the rating system, and you see all of Leeds got like a 5 or less, except for Adams, who got a 6.2, and their left back. I'm spacing his name right now.
Oh yeah, Strunk, something like that. Yeah,
he also got 6.2. But take away the fact that he scored the goal, his performance wasn't that great. So it's weird that they just gave him top marks when his goal was set up by a fabulous run by Aronson into the box, split out 3 guys, shot, hit the post, bounced right to him, scored a goal.
Yeah, and that's how I know that Leeds is one of my favorite teams now, because when that happened and Aronson hit that shot, I was audible. My volume was going up. My heart was pounding. I was like, please let this go in. So there you go. Now I know Leeds is a team that I support.
Adam Wiggins says Adams plays differently. Yes, better at Leeds. That's not so much that he plays differently. He plays in double pivot.
Double pivot, yep, absolutely. Yep, you beat me to it. Because here, Gakong Snake says, feels like an Adams De La Torre partnership would work really well, minus the Japan game, of course.
So, I mean, Roca, his partner at Leeds, was always known as someone who maybe doesn't have the speed, but is very good technically and can pass in any direction, any position. But Tyler Adams, even like his progressive passing in that match was excellent.
I think. Yep. I'm every match is different with Roca for me, because there's some matches I'm just like, oh my god, how's he even on this team? And then there's some he's like, okay, that wasn't a bad game. That was a pretty good game. But then you see all of Twitter, we're talking about it, and you see the ratings, and they're like, they're rating Roca much higher than what he performed. And maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm just primarily looking at Adams and Aronson and saying, well, they're doing pretty damn good, and saying like, I like him over there. But I think I'm not overly sold on Roca.
I would say the worst performing Leeds player was Bamford by far.
Yeah.
If Leeds had a better forward,
Harrison got the worst rating.
Yeah. Harrison had an okay game. Obviously, it wasn't his best either. But if they had 2 players that could finish any of those chances that they had, they should have been up 3-1, 3-0 at halftime.
It's that Adams through pass that Bamford. Yes. That's a finish.
That one, and I think in the second half he had a really nice tackle high up the field, it went to Patrick Bamford and he immediately lost the ball while they had a 3-on-1 if Patrick Bamford could turn with the ball. So I watched that game and I just think any other player in for Patrick Bamford or play those same scenarios out 10 more times, and I feel like Leeds gets at least a point, if not 3 from that game, which is why I'm really not worried about Jesse Marsch. Like, you can see it working. I think his players do get a little tired. He probably needs to think about defensive shape and kind of like what happens in those moments. Yeah, like 60-minute plus. But I really feel like this is working for Leeds. They just need to start. It's almost like a U.S. conversation. They need to start putting balls in the back of the net. They need to take advantage of their
and like I mentioned in the description of this video, I said Leeds was basically let down by defensive errors in not being able to finish the ball.
Yeah,
and I know that's any loss is basically going to be described that way, but it's not like they didn't have their chances.
Yeah,
they had their chances, and it was a tale of two halves. The first half, Leeds dominated.
Absolutely.
Second half, Leeds was kind of on their heels.
Didn't the first half end 1-1 though? Like, yes. As much as they dominated, the Crystal Palace goal was so far against the run of play.
Yeah.
But still, like, you give away a free kick in that area, you play a high line for that free kick, and they get in behind. I don't know if that's on Jesse, if that's on Melier for setting up the back line like that, but you have to take that dominating performance and actually dominate the scoreline if you want to succeed in the Premier League. Like, that was a perfect example of how difficult the Premier League can be.
I would say this. I would say you take Bamford out and you put Rodrigo back in the middle. I think he scores both those goals, or he scores one goal, the first one, and then he does not screw up that 3-on-1.
I forgot about Rodrigo. He was horrible in the right wing spot.
Yes.
But maybe he plays different. I know after the first 3 games, he was like the leading scorer in the Premier League. But yeah, he was like one of the worst players.
In those first couple games, he was put in a position to succeed for his skill set.
Yeah.
So I think him being centrally located, and maybe you play more of a false 9 with him sitting back, and then you have Harrison and Aronson out wide.
Yeah.
But
so like a lot of times with the US or Jesus Ferreira, we'll talk about expected goals and kind of like, is it better for a striker to put himself in a position to score rather than score the goals? And I feel like that conversation can continue when you're a coach and trying to evaluate how you're actually doing. And so for Jesse Marsch, if I'm looking at like the games that have let him down and the points that he's lost, what is the balance of the expected goals? Because I feel like over time, that's a better example of like how your team is actually doing.
I mean,
so again,
it is,
dominate the games. You'll be okay.
It's I get that, and I get the whole science behind it, but there's also the chicken or the egg kind of thing too. It's like you can have a bunch of eggs that are all bad and you're not going to get any chicken. You know what I mean? And that's what we've been seeing. A lot of eggs, no chickens. So I think in the end, when you got that one chicken down on the at the end of the hat, and she's just punching out eggs and chickens and shit, that shit's all working for her. And she doesn't have as many of them. She just has them here and there. She has 1/12 of the eggs. That this metaphor is out of control. She has 1/12.
I'm lost.
This chicken has 1/12 of the eggs, but every egg is hatched is a chicken. Well, I don't care. After a while, when you just start stacking up eggs that don't hatch, then I'm like, you got no chickens.
That is the Peacock argument, isn't it?
Yeah,
he is limited to no opportunities, but he seems to be scoring those limited to no opportunities.
Yeah, he's hatching chickens. Yep.
Hey, yes.
Right.
Peacock.
To end the metaphor, right there. All right. More questions, or we want to?
I guess before we jump into the Pulisic topic in Chelsea,
we should probably ask Jake how long he can stay up.
He's not in England anymore. He can stay up.
Give me 20 more minutes.
Oh shit!
All right, 20 more minutes. No, that's perfect. I like the way Jake thinks.
Unfortunately, Derek won't be off here in 20 minutes, but
I can't control that.
I am leaving.
Ricardo Pepi made the team of the week. Look at that.
In Belgium?
Holland.
I mean, no.
He's in Holland.
Wait.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
The Netherlands.
Okay. Groningen. Yeah, and they're horrible. I'm sorry. Yes. All right. Brain fart.
You scored 2 goals and you still lose 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he cracked the team of the week. Good for him.
Nice. Yeah, that's quite nice.
Speaking of team of the weeks, we have a couple of team of the week, a couple of players in the team of the week for the championship. We got ourselves a Sargent.
Nice.
We got a Trusty who also got a brace.
We got a Horvath.
Horvath back down there.
Hey, Jake, for me, I think Horvath's just saying, hey, you, Stefan, go away. I'm the guy.
I'm number 2.
I'm number 2.
I made a career of sitting the bench. I'm number 2.
Really? Because Greg is probably like, well, that's fine because Zach Stefan's number 1. So.
You're right.
Probably.
Every conversation ends this way. It's like, yeah, but Greg.
Yeah, but
Greg.
And
then you're just like,
Yeah. It's pretty shitty, honestly, to like have all this. Why does 99% of every person watching this have the same thought, except the person making decisions?
I've been told that this is an echo chamber, and just spouting off what the masses think is not the best take.
Have you tried not doing that?
Not at all. I don't want to be canceled, and I don't want to be forgotten. So I'm just saying what everybody else is saying. Okay, guys.
I wrote the whole script for this show, by the way.
I mean, the echo chamber thing.
That's a good one.
It's annoying. The echo chamber thing is annoying. I will say that because I don't think it is. Like, we have disagreed on. I mean, yes, they're not gigantic things, but we all disagree on stuff on occasion. We just picked.
I said PFOC. You said Sargent.
That's right.
I said Leia. You said Aronson.
Yep.
I said nobody actually.
Brett did not. Brett did not break the tie.
Yeah, we moved on, and I was like, I'm going to be a man of mystery.
All right, quickly, who are your 3?
As of a condition today, I'm saying Sargent and Aronson.
Okay, we're in the same box.
I'll just leave.
Yeah,
we're the echo chamber right here. All right, all right, that's enough. All right, next question. Do we have another one?
We do not.
Do not?
I'm looking at the chat right now, so no, we don't.
Okay, so here's my next topic for you, Jake, and that is this. There have been people who have argued, and maybe you can make this argument, that the reason September looked as bad as it did is not just because Greg's a Nimrod, but because he didn't have Musa. And then, in fact, Musa is the key to this team, and without Musa, we are going to look like shit. So
are we talking about the mid-block?
We're talking about Musa. When necessary, will drop back and help Adams. And it almost looks like a double pivot, even though it doesn't play like one most of the time. Is Musa that important to this team, Jake, or is this just another shitty excuse for Greg?
I have so many thoughts on this that I'm going to try and organize into a relevant thing that people can understand.
Like a sonnet?
Yes.
I agree,
and it needs to rhyme also, so I'm trying to put that together in my head. It's like someone give me a beat and I'll freestyle it. I need Harry Mack to come in. Yeah.
Do a haiku.
Okay, so I actually agree with everything you just said, even if people feel like they can counteract themselves. Like Greg had a horrible time in the September window. Bad plan A's and no plan B's. That really hurt us. I think that was kind of my takeaway. That also doesn't mean that Yunus Musa isn't a critical player in our system. And then the following logic after that is no player should be that important to a system on a national team because you're not always guaranteed availability. So I actually think all of those things are true. Everyone can be correct, but that in itself is wrong to me, to have a player like Yunus Musa. I understand if it's, Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, or even to some extent for us, Christian Pulisic. But
right,
to have one of your 3 midfielders who plays as an 8 can be attacking, can play as a double pivot, to have one of those players be kind of the player that makes the team go, that feels wrong to me, because when that player isn't available and you don't have, a budget to transfer in someone that can play that similar style, and you're trying to force someone like Luca De La Torre to be Yunus Musa, that in itself is a huge issue for me. So that's also why I don't really think Greg Berhalter is a great national team coach. Again, nothing against him as a person. I think he's done well in recruiting these players and building an environment, but that's kind of crumbled as our results haven't gone our way. I actually think like his system that he is so insistent on putting into play really hurts when we don't have players available. So yes to Greg's coaching, yes to Yunus Musa being injured and not being available. I would even say that in the sense of like Anthony Robinson not having a left back that's able to bomb up and down the pitch was really difficult for us to find someone that, like, Sam Vines essentially stayed at home the entire match that he played in. Really only in his last few minutes was starting to get into the opponent's half. So I could say that about Yunus Musa, about Jedi, about like we needed some speed up top. Christian Pulisic is, in my mind, more of like a small pockets dribbler. He's not necessarily a speedster that's going to burn you in space. Brendan Aronson is a really hard worker that has a great half turn and can beat a player on a dribble. No one is there to like just run, just get the ball to the end line and whip in that cross from a really dangerous area. That's what Tim Weah gives you.
Yep.
So again, when you're playing a system and you're so insistent on system, and then you don't have the players available, we saw what happens.
It shows how vulnerable Greg's system is.
Well, and I will also say in that scenario, in this window, it didn't help that middle trio without Musa that we had a more or less like a 40% Weston McKennie as far as talent, as far as the form on the ball. Because that also disrupted a bunch of shit. Now, mind you, everybody, I think, in this window, not even Turner, had a bad window. Definitely through spells.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But missing Musa definitely hurt. I think also having another key player in McKennie that just wasn't the McKennie that we need, definitely hurt. And I think that's also something to consider. But again, nobody played well in that window. Period.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Stokes at Yankerport was kind of like one of the only people in our circle saying the players have to take some responsibility for this. And in a sense, I agree. Like McKennie obviously didn't care to even be there, and his performance showed it. And I'm assuming it's difficult to get yourself up and amped and get a shot of adrenaline for a game when you're playing in front of like 2,000 people. But Japan did it. Like, you're also playing against a team that's playing in the same environment. So that's what I would say to that. And I also want to say, so God Kong Snake said no one overrated De La Torre. What ? I'm not saying we overrated De La Torre. I'm just saying when we try and fit him into being the second Yunus Musa and not being the first De La Torre,
I think
that really hurts him as a player.
He's also referring to someone in the chat.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
I'll say he's at this stage in Leget's career, Luca De La Torre is much better than Leggett.
I don't think it's fair to Luca De La Torre either, although it is his agent that put him at Celta Vigo, to necessarily start saying that he's overrated yet. I think it's too early for that. And I think we've seen him when he was playing regularly come play with the United States men's national team and have some really good minutes for us. So I think if that's this or that, if you want to, look at him as a guy that still has some great potential, but he's not getting much playing time, so he's a little cold for the September windows. That's the this, and then the that is you just don't think he's that good in the first place.
Didn't he just recently play a bulk of a game and do well, if I recall correctly, like last week or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think much like any player, and we see this even with Pulisic,
like 20 minutes.
That when you start losing your playing time, you may get 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there. When you come out and you're supposed to perform a 90-minute match at the international level, you're just not as sharp as you were when you're playing consistently. And I think that's what we saw with Luca De La Torre in that sense. We haven't seen him. He hasn't really played a minute since he left Heracles, and we saw that on the pitch.
By the way, I just want to announce that Sebastian Soto still hasn't seen a single solitary second of playing time at Klagenfurt.
Down, why don't you?
Dude, he's been down forever. How long can I continue to kick? I mean, I'm not running out. I'm not getting tired of it yet. I just think he was pretty full of himself. And, man, that's not helping his career right now, especially when you're in the small town of Klagenfurt. So we'll see how that works out for him. I did want to bring up the fact that Haji Wright hasn't scored any goals lately, so he's not even in the discussion anymore. But Siabatu's on a small little drought himself. Anything that might hurt him with the old Greg Meister?
What might hurt him is that Greg doesn't know who he is.
Exactly. Greg doesn't rate him. That's what's going to hurt him.
But, you have those people who are saying, like, oh, there's no way he's going to make the team. What are you joking?
It's weird when Greg will make a comment to the point of, like, I don't need Pepe to score goals. I just need him to play my system.
He doesn't need to score 5 goals.
And then Jordan Pefok plays a system at Berlin, and they're at the top of the table without scoring. And we're like, no, we don't want him. Yeah, he doesn't score goals.
Yeah. I mean, then we get back to the system. And I just, I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know if you noticed this, but after we qualified for the World Cup and Greg went on his world beating tour, and talked to people who didn't like him, like, Sebastian and Herc, he started talking about a system a whole lot after that. And then so did all the fucking players in the interviews out of nowhere. We hadn't heard a word system for a while. Then boom, we qualified. Now everybody's talking about this system thing. I mean, what's going on there? Number one. Go ahead.
You'll notice, if you'll recall, go back in time for a bit and go back to our first World Cup qualifying cycle when Greg started that cycle by saying, this is an opportunity to get 9 points. We can come out with 9 points. We'll be set for the World Cup. And every player from then on this is an opportunity to win every game. We can do this. We can get 9 points. I think we come out of that window with 5, almost 2, if we don't turn it around at halftime in that third match. Right. And then the next qualifying cycle, it's, we learned our lesson. We're going to take this one game at a time, get 3 points, then we'll think about the next. And the players would echo that as they go. In the interviews, we're going to take it game by game. We learned our lesson. Then the next one, Greg's talking about verticality and stretching the field. And then the players are starting to. So I think this is just it's natural, right?
You're saying the PowerPoints work.
Yeah, exactly. just do better, and that's
you left off the most recent window where Berhalter paired the concept of we're not the most talented team, and then all the players went on and said, "Hey guys, we're not that talented. We're not the most talented team."
Oh, it's kind of like when he said our goal going forward is to change the way the rest of the world views American soccer. And then you heard Pulisic say it in an interview on ESPN. Then you heard Adam say it, where we're at Leipzig. So, I mean, listen, I guess these guys at some point got to be thinking, God, he's made us say a lot of stupid shit so far. So maybe we don't say everything Greg says.
They're going to go in the pressers like this with just a piece of paper.
You sound a lot smarter when you win a lot of games. And the opposite is true.
Yeah.
No, when you lose the games, you just talk about how you dominated the game. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, right. Hey, by the way, Julian Green's starting again for Greuther Fürth. No shot though for us. That's okay. It's okay. Doesn't deserve one. He's been playing on a really bad team. Who else should we talk about that we haven't? Oh, Hoppy.
Matthew Hoppy saw a senior minute.
He did. He saw 15 of them.
Nice. Look at him.
The family must be happy. His second uncle, once removed, is coming back on the show.
Well,
I told you to be there.
You're revealing some of our connections there, Greg. Yeah, he has been on the show, so it's not that. It's not that big of a shocker. It's
not very secret if you've actually watched our show.
Not a very big shocker. That was the most awkward interview ever. I can tell you that there were some conversations that happened before that interview where I knew going into it after the conversation, that interview was going to suck.
But the people wanted to hear it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it got like 80 views.
The interview I really want to see is someone interviewing Mark Pulisic, Christian Pulisic's dad.
Well,
after, after a few beers too.
I'd love to hear how he got Tuchel fired. So,
well,
okay, you go ahead, Derek.
No, you go ahead. Here to go.
I was just gonna say, Christian Pulisic wrote these things right about Thomas Tuchel in his book, but he had to have written it way before Thomas Tuchel was fired. So was he expecting that, in a 6-month period of him writing that Thomas Tuchel was out the door, or was he just hoping and praying?
This is gonna force my transfers. What it's
like,
gonna
how
be.
awkward would that have been?
Tuchel's a fucking moron. He doesn't play me.
Well,
I was right. He was wrong. I scored. He sucks.
Well, here's the thing about the publishing industry, though. They could have been planning that leak, of the actual what's in the book, and just waiting for Tuchel
Maybe
to
they
be
sat
fired.
on it. Yeah,
I think they sat on it and waited for the opportune time because it was too, it was too like, really? They had that ready? Yes, they did. They had it ready. It was a plan.
You sell a lot more books if you do something like that. So
yeah. I think that was the plan all along to wait for Tuchel to get. And maybe they were planning on dropping it after the World Cup or during the World Cup. But you know what? Tuchel's gone. Drop it now. Basically, I think is what happened.
I'm reading the comments about how you guys mentioned the dog kick in the Hoppy interview.
Yeah,
that's
that
amazing.
This keeps coming up.
I'm waiting to get Miazga on the show, and then we can ask the hard questions.
We need some connection to
I'm
Matt
hoping
Miazga.
he comes onto the show and brings it up himself. That's what I would love. That'd be perfect.
Well, it's hard to hide the truth, Brett.
I've got to come clean, guys.
Wasn't me, coach. Vasquez, by the way, 3 assists and a goal for Cincinnati this weekend. And I still don't think he has a chance in hell making the World Cup.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other problem with a system, right? Is as players become available and in form, if they haven't done enough to get involved in the system and to learn about where they need to be at what specific time, then it's really difficult to call in those players that are in form going into the World Cup if they haven't spent time with the team yet.
That was kind of Williamson's point around the Gold Cup, where he talked about how it took him like I don't know if he said 3 windows, maybe 3 practices or whatever, but it took time basically to get the system, and it's difficult. So yeah, you're right in that sense. You just don't just randomly plop somebody down who's never been part of the system going into the World Cup. At this point, there is no chance that a player who has not played for Berhalter in our pool to be called in this World Cup.
Including Brooks, because it's been too long, including Ream, because it's been too long. I just don't see it happening. I think they both should be there because they actually do or could be people that fit into Greg's play it out of the back system thing. But
given the playing time, I think Ream stands a better chance than Brooks, and also the personal conflict between Berhalter. I think Ream stands a better chance.
Well, we don't know if that's true, right, Brett?
Allegedly.
What, there is a rift between Brooks and...
Yeah, have you heard, Derek?
Oh, yeah, there is. No, I'm not kidding you. I've said this for a long time. And, I mean, it's funny because...
I, for one, am shocked.
Shocked, I tell you, shocked.
We brought up the interview with Meg. We brought up Meg's interview with Sam. And by the way, Meg still gets to ask questions on some of these things, which is crazy.
I asked a question.
I know. I heard that. I was like,
I think we
thank you, Michael.
We covered that question. Yeah.
Did you say thank you, Michael?
No, I said thank you, Greg, and I hope you're doing well.
Okay.
I didn't say thank you to Michael. I should have. I'm saying it now.
Michael. Sorry.
Just a bit.
Sorry.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks.
I would never.
No,
I'm sure he's a lovely gent.
The cough thing. the cough thing. He doesn't look like a lovely gent when he's hanging out behind, hovering over our players while they're doing interviews.
He is a lurker.
He looks like a midget pest is what he looks like.
I am not in any way affiliated with these comments, by the way. US Soccer.
I'm sorry.
Please still give me credentials.
Jake, you told us a few minutes ago that you wrote the script for this show.
Derek is going improv, though.
All right, my bad. I didn't mean to put you in that situation there.
No.
By the way,
just kidding.
Taylor Booth is not even making the bench anymore for Utrecht.
He's playing for the second team, isn't he?
And our favorite bunch of losers, Novakovic went 54, Busio 74, Tessman 40. De Vries was in the 18 but didn't play, and Patrick Leal didn't get a place on. They were ran out of little fold-out seats for everybody, so he wasn't there. But they tied. I believe they lost. I'm sorry, they lost to Bari 1-2. What a bunch of pathetic. This team must be the worst Fulham America version you've ever seen, ever in U.S. soccer.
Yeah, Fulham America never went down to the second division, so
it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Should hire more Americans.
Yeah, what the hell?
Jesus Christ, they're already 50% American. All right.
They should be getting 100% of the time. What's your point?
This is about the time where we're supposed to let Jake go, Brett. And I know you like to go on for an hour and 40 minutes, but some of us have other things to do. And you do too.
It is 9:30. The only thing we have to do is go to bed at this point.
You just don't want to go hang out with your puking wife. Let's be honest right now. That's the truth, right?
No, she's asleep. I'm fine.
All right. You're not going to do one of those little silent snuggles with her tonight, are you? With your little shrimp?
No, I'll start snoring, and she's like, "I will throw up on you if you start that right now. Do it. I dare you. I double dare you."
Did you hear about Brett's little shrimp?
No, but doesn't surprise me.
It's not so little.
What did your wife ask you to bring you one night?
She goes, "Hey, refill my drink before you go to bed, you twat."
No, but the shrimp though. She said bring you some.
She had ordered some bang bang shrimp from. She asked me to bring up some bang bang shrimp. I'm like, absolutely.
I said,
right
Brett, is that a code?
Duty calls.
I said, is that a code word, Brett? She wants you to come up
shrimp
with the bang bang shrimp.
Rhinoceros.
Interesting choice. Eating bang bang shrimp in bed.
Yep.
Well, that was
classy lady.
It's just a code word, Jake, for his bomb shrimp.
Lovely person. Yes.
Yeah.
It was funny. Last week I read off the text message like she goes, "Make me a drink before you go to bed, you twat."
Yeah.
And Derek goes, "Oh my God! Well, I guess at least she didn't call you bitch." And I go, "That's every other text. It's like, hey, make me a drink, you bitch."
She had to spice it up.
Yeah, that's how we keep our relationship going. You know.
Sounds healthy.
Yeah, you guys probably have a lot. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to say that. My marriage wasn't always crap. It just turned to crap. All right, so that was serious, man. That's heavy. I'm not saying you guys will have that
World
problem.
Mental Health Awareness Day.
Yeah, I was never meant to be married.
I hope you're okay, Derek.
I was never meant to be married in the first place. Honestly, I'm I need a different cracker every day guy. So, eating the same cracker every fucking day, you're just like, fuck this shit. Give me anything else.
Yeah, it never works out. Yeah.
So speaking of, my wife is calling me now. So I am going to leave you guys.
All right. Hey,
and I appreciate being here.
Thanks for coming out. Make sure you catch Jake's show. It's called Mother in Soccer. Cool. Make sure you come out and check that. And hey, man, enjoy those crotchless panties tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I can't wait.
All right, we'll see you next time on the Straight Red Car.
See ya.
Later.
All right. Now that he's gone, the show can actually start. Right?
What the fuck? We were ending the show.
Bro, no. Every show.
All right, what are we ending it with?
Is it over yet? All of our normal questions we have.
Okay. We got to do the tweeters.
We've got the tweeter questions.
Chris Gary says, I just realized it's been 5 years since the Trinidad game. Time flies, dude. It has been forever, and it doesn't seem like that was that long ago, honestly.
One pandemic later.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that how fast time has gone by since my kids grew out of the house. Because it's been enjoyable. It's been enjoyable.
I can sleep out on the weekends. What the fuck?
Yeah. All right. Anita Goodliming. Don't we all, Anita?
Good.
I think one extra, you could have dropped one of those M's and it still would have come off. Anita Goodrimming. Seymour Areola on the All Aston Villa podcast said that Villa are going to bring in Irish American U23 standout Vi Brator up to the first team squad for the next League Cup match. Apparently, he's represented Ireland at the youth level.
That is a great name right there. That should be reused on somebody else's show.
And you said Ireland, not even Northern Ireland. So, I mean, Jesus, this is a one-time amazing thing that's happening here with Vi Brader, because they're not usually the part of the Irish contingent.
Mr. Brader is my father's
succeeds. Mr. Brader. All right. I guess you can't show the video, but what's Derek's take on this goal? I see a defender error. What? I'd say it was pretty weak, but it's in there, right?
Hey, you know what, though? You know what I take from that goal? We have a striker who can shoot from outside of the fucking box.
And isn't afraid to do so. Even if that one was kind of a low, slow burner. Yeah, okay. That's horrible goalkeeping. I agree. But I'll take it.
Yeah.
And because I'm a sergeant apologist. So there you go. Even though I called him, said he didn't have a big enough pair of balls for like how long? A year?
For a year. It took him a year. He was listening to our show, and he's like, oh, man, Derek's so right. We need a grow set.
Yep. And he did. The interactions you had from this goal were amazing, Berlin. Laughing out loud. Looks like a good hill to die on.
That's in reference to Berlin's take that Sargent should learn how to become a midfielder. Because he can score goals. And you know what? There was a time. And he can still play as a solid option out wide.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I will also say that when he played in the midfield, like when they played that 4-2-2-2 last year, when it was only like one game or two games, I think Sargent looked good in the Landon Donovan role of that upper middle too. It wasn't a striker, but I thought he still looked good there.
Sargent can play a lot of places. I honestly think he'd play center back if you asked him to.
He's easily our third best goalkeeper.
Probably our fourth best center back.
And all I can recall back to is that goal line save he had against Honduras in the Nations League.
Quite the backwards header to save us. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what else we got? Yep. Greg Clownhalter. My absolute favorite part about Mondays. Another straight red card live stream. I'm not going to be so quick to declare the resurrection of Pulisic. My gut tells me that it was a sympathy start. I'll get excited when he is playing consistently. I'll try to stay optimistic, though. I think everybody should try. This could be an in and out situation. I mean, it really could be. Like
I think the way that it's going to change from an in and out situation would be as if Pulisic comes in the next game where he starts and scores again. And then it has to get a little more consistent with his time and his productivity level, or assists, or does something amazing. Because I thought he had a pretty good game. He had a couple of opportunities that he missed before he had his goal, but as a whole, I think it's a stepping stone in the right direction.
I do too. I mean, it couldn't get any worse than it was. So starting and scoring is really good. He could have had two. Let's be really honest in that game. I really thought he should have had two. So maybe he plays again and he plays again. He plays well. Then you see it. But you know what? When you got your Graham Potter and your team is absolutely fucking loaded to the gills, you can do a rotation. You don't have Pulisic gets 2 games in a row, then somebody else. You have this circular rotation where guys get play 2 games and get 1 game off.
You got to be careful. That was the football route too. It's just a constant rotation of players, and they never really got that chemistry built up.
Yeah, but he would change like the whole slather of them. I'm saying like, a consistent rotation of guys that are used to playing with each other.
And I think when you're talking about, especially the wings, the players, the midfield, and players that are going to do a shit ton of running, and you're talking about a season where the season is so fucking congested, and then they got league matches, they got cup matches, they got Champions League, international, no longer international friendlies by any means, but it's just there's a lot of matches jammed into a very condensed season. So yeah, you're going to have to rotate players around, and if it means that Pulisic's going to get a start here, bit minutes next game, start the next game, or whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, your wingers and your left back and right back all are going to need rests.
Yeah.
I mean, they run more than everybody else on the field. So center backs, not so much. Obviously not. That's why you have the consistent pair of 2 center backs on most teams. So, all right. Hey, guys. Jake, great interview with Joe Devon. Tifo Football is probably the best non-American soccer channel. I don't think I've been there. A little bit worried about Leeds' recent run of form. How long do you think Jesse's leash is? I think it's pretty long.
I think it's a season unless it's just a constant string of losses.
Right. He's going to – let's say he has 8 losses in a row. I think he's in deep shit.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's going to get that point, but yeah.
It could.
Has there been a couple of games where he should have gotten results? Sure.
Yep.
And a lot of that comes from sticking to his system and to his guns and not changing or subbing it early enough. Again, the way that he's playing his system and everything, the players are going to get tired. Simple as that. And then pulling them out early in a couple of games here, like maybe Harrison comes out early this game, maybe Aronson comes out early next game. You kind of have to do that rotation a little sooner.
And keep in mind that all the London teams for almost a month didn't get to play, while everybody else did, and they stayed in form and they stayed warm. So, and they didn't because they couldn't play because of the Queen needed all the police apparently in London to be at her side for her funeral. God Kong Snake says, does he have a longer leash than Bradley did at Swansea? Hell yes, he does.
It wasn't even a leash. It was a drop kick off the side of the building.
It was a two-link choke chain. That's what that was.
I get the last lessons here.
Do you think Matarazzo gets another job before the U.S. men's national team opens up? Maybe not. It might take till next window, and I think he'll have another job then. So it depends on how fast Greg loses his job. I mean, if he's 3 and out, it could happen. He could be gone real quick, and then Matarazzo might not have a job yet. So, but if Greg hangs in there and gets out of the group stage, then more than likely U.S. soccer will drag its feet for a while before determining whether or not he's going to come back or not. Like, they're not going to announce that right after the World Cup. It'll be another 6 months after that.
I feel like as a federation, you have to learn. Because what happened the last 2 cycles is we've carried over our coach from the previous cycle. They last for 6 months to a year, and they get shit canned, and you're bringing somebody in short notice.
What have we learned about the super arrogant psychopaths that run U.S. soccer?
They don't learn.
They don't learn. They don't learn. So they are in their own world, and that's how they like it. More of me smoking. What a pleasure. All right, we already did
that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a new challenge, blah, blah, blah. This is all about the memes and okay, yeah. And Anita's back.
It's crazy how polarizing a player Christian Pulisic is. It's either he's shit or he's got the golden boy of American soccer. When U.S. men's national team fans watch Pulisic, it's almost as if they are watching their son play. It's fascinating. I don't see why this is any other player in our pool. I don't see this. You're right, but I do it with Reyna, and I do it with Aronson, and I do it with Adams. I don't really do it as much with McKennie at Juventus, and I don't know why. Maybe because he's such a butterfly on that team. But the other guys, I think I want to see them
I
grow.
tend to give Sargent a larger lead than most of the players you mentioned. Like, Pulisic will have a bad game, and I'll call it out, but Sargent has an okay game. I'll be like, yeah, he was probably the best player in the pitch.
Okay, yep. I know. I mean, there are guys that I do follow and watch like they maybe could be my sons. Hoppy would be one of them. He's one of the black sheep.
We've been pushing that one, yeah.
Yep. So, and then he says, or she says, I'm sorry, Anita. And when Pulisic
Cancel through that shit, man. Watch out.
This name is funny because I had one of those fake little things come in on my phone, and it said, "Hey, baby." It was from an Anita, and she said, "Hey, baby."
Where the fuck did Mitch get your number?
It said, "Hey, baby, do you like eating pussy all night?" And I replied to her, and I said, "All night? That sounds like a whole lot of fucking work." All night? Question mark. No,
let's play that one by ear, okay?
Nobody wants to eat pussy all night. That's ridiculous. No one does. I don't know. I mean, unless you're a glutton for punishment. All right. And then, sore lips. When Pulisic had, okay, blah, 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 blah. All right. Next question. Al Weinstein, part of the tribe, of which I'm only 8%. I have concerns over Pooley. His productivity is not trending up. He's missed a ton of matches. He couldn't learn right. He couldn't learn wing back. No, of course not. Book was unwise. He looked great against a pathetic Wolves. His assist was a desperate date to set up a worldie. Still love him though. Yeah, he's been disappointing. He's been a letdown at times.
Well, let's talk about his productivity this year. He hasn't really had time to produce anything. And if you look at his goals and assists, which is 1-1 for the amount of time he's played, it's not half bad. He just hasn't played that many minutes this season to be productive.
Still, not seeing him play is disappointing too.
Yeah.
So, Book was unwise. I agree. Fuck the Book. Don't write a book yet. Wait till you fucking win a World Cup or you retire. Then write a book, motherfucker. Don't write a book now. This is ridiculous. You're 20 what? Something. 23 years old. You're still a virgin. Seriously, what do you have to write about? All right? Come on. Colette says, tell me you don't watch Chelsea FC without telling me you don't watch Chelsea FC. I do watch every game. I just don't like them very much. I mean, I like Pulisic, so that's why I watch. Al says, this is what we call a defense mechanism. Colette says, sure, Wankstain. Wankstain. Whoa.
That's a great one. I'm going to have to remember that.
My name doesn't sound like toothpaste. Bar down Bully says, did you guys just say a striker that's shooting outside the box? Berhalter, wherever he is.
There's a great disturbance, of course. This must have been a new one. Yeah, posted 8 minutes ago. Holy shit.
Wow. Well done.
Basically what we just talked about, yeah.
Well done. Greg Walters says, top 5 things Greg did well. Thanks. Did well with what?
In general?
In general, maybe?
Well, I mean, I one thing that I think nobody can take away from him has been his dual net recruiting.
I thought you were going to say his back bounce passes.
Well, yeah, okay. That his shoes. Let's get all the stereotypes out here.
Yeah. I mean,
his collection of Starbucks cups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's get it all out, guys.
Recruiting has been his best thing so far.
Yeah, because I mean, his system as a whole, quite frankly, we've talked about this ad nauseum in the sense, just doesn't really work well when trying to implement it to a national team. And you can't take the performances that occur and say, see, Greg did well. I mean, yeah, okay, he put the right players in the right position maybe that game. He got them amped up for the match itself. But the system itself wasn't what you can sit there and say that was a great decision, Greg, because, I mean, that's the same system we've played every match.
Right.
So, I mean, as they say, a broken clock is right 2 times a day.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that bad, but it got worse there at the end. I thought it might be getting better, but then, we qualified, and now we've been talking about system for like 4 months now straight. So he didn't learn anything. And then September came, and woo, boy, did he get exposed. God Kong Snake. 1, dual nat. 2, wanting to play
let's take this
possession
one at a time
style.
here. Dual nat, yes. 2, wanting to play a possession style. Well, I think that started with Klinsmann.
Yeah, but still, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's a very efficient possession style.
It's not.
So wanting to do something and being able to do it are two different things. So I don't know if you can add that to something he does well. Do I want to have a 12-inch penis? Yes, but I don't have one. So, I didn't accomplish my goal.
The possession for possession's sake argument is not overly productive because, how over the course of the last 20 some odd years, how many times did Mexico come into the United States, flat out dominate possession, and then we'd win 2-0?
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. Possession for possession's sake is not always there. I'm fine with playing with a more possession style rather than just booting it up and running onto it. But it's got to be a quality possession.
Yeah, now he gets into things where I think are jokes. Number 3, wanting to change the way the world views American soccer. That's got to be a joke.
Yeah.
Again, wanting something and being able to accomplish it not only can only be the same different things, but some things are left better unsaid. All right.
Let's finish this because Jose has a fun one.
So some things are best not said. Like that should never been said. Because guess what? You go out and you perform, and that should be what your goal is.
It sounds like a Bill Nye reference.
Then you do change the way people view American soccer. But having that as a goal is a stupid thing to have. It'll either happen or not happen based on how you play.
Yeah. Somewhat
relying on the youth. Well, you don't think he
100% relying on youth.
He didn't have that big of a choice unless you're still thinking Bradley's on this team or Altidor's on this team. He did drag along some older guys, rolled on.
Brooks.
Legit for a while. But
Yedlin?
He didn't jettison Yedlin, but yes, most of the others he did. And then shoe game, I could give a fuck about a shoe game, but yeah.
Bounce passes, selfies, good game.
Yeah.
Which is what we joked around about.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is what I was laughing at.
What are you, fucking Minotaurs? 12 inches. I don't know. I think Minotaurs probably have bigger ones than 12. But that's probably
not the angrier ones, I'm sure.
Son
of a bitch.
All right, Greg Clownhalter is back. We need to be nice to Greg. This goes to the World Cup. Rumors are he wants to go back to club soccer. If we piss him off, he might roll out this shit show of a lineup. Sardis, Morris, Areola, Leggett, Roldan, Acosta, Vines, Long, EPB, Moore. Hey, EPB's all right.
Yeah.
Gusan.
Is he even healthy at this point?
Gusan, I don't think so.
I thought he was still busted.
I don't know. I don't watch Atlanta. They're horrible. Vines is, I don't know. I'd give him a little bit more of a pass than that, but the rest, you're right. That would be a haunting show.
We got it. That's going to win the World Cup right there, guys.
That would be scary if we came out with that.
There's a lot of talk as far as talking about like the Berhalter favorites and about how it's a bad terminology that favorites are Berhalter pets. Max talked about it. But yeah, I don't know.
What did Max say?
What is your thought process when you hear somebody say this person's a Berhalter pet or Berhalter favorite?
I don't hear pet often, but I do hear favorite.
Yes.
And my thought is,
I agree with that. I haven't heard pet at all, actually.
My next thought is, who are you talking about? And they say Roldan. I'm like, yeah, he is. Or they say Long. I'm like, yes, that's a project. That is a Berhalter project. He believes in that dude. And he wants him on the team, and he's going to give him every opportunity to prove that he belongs there. And other guys don't get that chance. So Brooks didn't.
Max's take was basically saying that we shouldn't call players this because they go out there and they bleed for the U.S. men's national team. They put it all out in the field, and we shouldn't be just downgrading them to this terminology that they're only there because they're a favorite of Berhalter.
No, okay. Listen, that's just.
I'm paraphrasing
here,
so I might not be getting all of his points, but
listen. that's that whole thing about they bleed, and so you for the US, and so you can't call them that. Get out of there with that, Max. Come on, man. Get out of there. Those are two different topics altogether. Everybody that plays for the US men's national team is going to go out there, hopefully, and bleed for the club and want us to do well. So that's the end of that conversation. Now we're just talking about who is getting the extra shot from Berhalter and who is not. Since they're all bleeding, that's the question. It has nothing to do with the bleeding part. That is a totally different topic, subject, off to the side, not what we're talking about. And how you can conflate those two things, it's almost straw man stuff. So Max, let's not do that. Hey, have me back on the show. We'll argue about it. God damn it, Max. Let's do it.
Let me pull the actual tweet up.
I guess, yeah, if you've got it.
Yeah. I mean, I can pull it up here in just a second.
As you well know, we've had Max on the show here.
Yeah.
I've been on his show. We love Max, but we disagree sometimes. It's going to happen. Doesn't mean I don't like the guy. I love the guy. But we just don't agree on everything.
Let's zoom out real quick. Hold on. It's going to take a few seconds for me to find it. Here we go.
Been getting a lot of Twitter responses with people referring to certain U.S. men's national team players as Berhalter's pets, and that crap has to stop. Not really. It's gross. These are guys working their asses off to represent you. Those things are not the same thing. Again, everybody's working their ass off. The question is whether or not some people get favorable treatment from Berhalter and others do not. And the answer to that question is yes, some guys do. Period.
And I think every coach has their own favorites, players that they've given more benefit of the doubts to. Hey, I coached this guy at the club level. I know what he's capable of. He's had a couple string of bad games, but I'm still going to give him opportunities. This happens with all managers, so it's
all of them.
I don't think
German, English, Italian. They all do it. All of them.
Everybody has their favorites, and my argument is saying for somebody, obviously, when you say like a Berhalter pet or a Berhalter favorite, you're basically saying that this player is not, that you don't think this player is good enough to be on the field at the international level, but Berhalter likes him for insert reason here. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't think player X is good enough to be on the national team.
Correct.
Guess what? I'm not good enough to be on the national team. I'm not going to get offended.
And you know what, Brett, if Greg called you up and you worked your ass off to represent your country, well, guess what? If you're still awful, I'm going to still say Brett's awful. He needs to be off the field, you know?
At this stage, if he called me in, I'd be like, Greg, I would love to be there as a water boy, but I can't run up and down that pitch.
Yeah, exactly. But even, let's say it was 20 years ago or whatever, 15 years ago. You know?
Oh, again, I would absolutely take the call up, and even if I sucked, that would still be a dream come true. And I'm sure that's a dream come true for all these players.
Yeah.
100%. That's what they're all striving for. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just saying that this person is not as good as that person over there, and I'm not sure why this guy has gotten like 25 call-ups where this guy hasn't been called up at all.
Listen, the only thing I'm asking for Max at this point is to not to conflate things. So working your ass off is a totally different topic. Which players do it? They all do it. Mm-hmm. And the topic about whether someone's good enough to be on the team and that they're favorited by Greg, who's given them multiple chances, or others have not gotten those chances, that's another discussion, and they shouldn't be conflated. You can't discount somebody's criticism of a player and their relationship with Greg, which might be to let that guy have a lot of chances, and then just say, well, you obviously don't understand how hard these guys are working for you. Well, that's not the point of the comment.
Yeah. And using it, here's a prime example. I mean, Zardes works his ass off. He's on that pitch. He'll give you everything on that pitch. Now, the problem with Zardes is that it looks like he dipped his shoes in cement the night before because he doesn't have a first touch.
Right.
Is he a better option because he works his ass off than, say, somebody like Pifak or somebody like Sargent? Because I guarantee you that Zardes had more opportunities than both those players under Berhalter.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I think we've made our point there. I think we're coming near the end, right?
Yeah, let me just pull up here. See what's new, if there's anything real quick. LP tagged, Jose tagged us in it. Let's just do a quick rundown because I think there may have been one I missed.
Okay.
Got all those. Jose, got you. Nita, got you. Craig, we got you. Craig. Sorry, I've been watching Psych recently. I guess we didn't get Fred. Let's end on Fred.
Ha ha ha. Jesse Marsch got exposed as the fraud he is. I'm not Berhalter fan, but Jesse Marsch is much worse. Oh, Jesus. We should get an Italian as our next manager. Oh, God. I'd like to get Mancini. Yeah. All right. Well, great. That's awesome. I'd like gold to arrive at my door every morning. It doesn't. Why is that? Why is that? Before I close up the show, I was thinking the other day when I was in my car driving home, this asshole was driving so slow in front of me.
Berlin missed out on this indie traffic talk, man.
Here it is. And I was like, God, I was saying it out loud. This dumb fucking cocksucker. And I kept thinking about it when I got home. I'm like, after I got stoned, and I said, that's kind of a weird thing to say, because cocksucker shouldn't be a bad thing. That's a good thing. Like, especially if you're good at it. Now, if you're a bad cocksucker, then that's fine. Then I should have called him, you bad cocksucker. Because just the term cocksucker, at least you're giving effort, right?
Jacuzzi fucker?
No, I'm just specifically on this word.
Air fucker.
If you are a cocksucker, at least you're giving some effort. You're trying, right? You may not be good at it, but you're giving some effort. There's nothing bad or wrong with that. And this motherfucker in front of me driving was not giving any effort to not be an idiot. So it wasn't fair to call him a cocksucker. That was a bad thing to call him.
I'm sure there are people that suck at sucking dick. It's possible.
Oh, no, they do exist. They do exist. All right. Last teeth. Little knob thing. Hey, it's not a lollipop, goddammit. All right. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card, make sure you like, subscribe. We hope you enjoyed the show. We enjoyed having you. You guys are all the best. And we'll see you on Thursday. Okay. See you then.
We're teammates.
Yeah, we're teammates.
I'm a good chef.
Oh, that's sick. That's sick, bro.
I can make food. Cheese as well. So.
Oh my god, bro. Yo, you gotta cook for me. Damn. Bro, I get up to cook and I just can't do it. This is tough, bro. I gotta say video games, bro. That's bad.
What about your family, bro?
I mean, yeah. Just because of the way that I was living in Austria, bro, I didn't know anybody there, so like...
Of eating.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
I have so many...
Bro, I just don't even notice, to be fair. Like, but I just kind of grab it, bro. Grab a couple. There you go. Bro, this is hard. Yeah. I'd probably say him. I mean...
Do her. Yeah.
Oh no!
Matt, what the hell was that?